Welcome back to Hard Skill Exchange AMA. We're super excited to feature Christian Allen. Everybody in our community knows Christian, but Christian, with no introductions, in case you want to, break the pattern, you can do it.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to start off by saying thank y'all for having me. Super excited. I'm really bought into the vision of what you're
We're
building.
super excited to feature Christian Allen. Everybody
Maybe
in our
close
community
the
knows, but Christian, with no introductions.
Who is? Oh, is it me? Oh God.
Yeah, right.
you're not this has happened. No problem. It's not unprecedented. All right. But without further ado, Christian Allen.
There we go. All right. Yeah. No,
Like to me.
yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm really bought into the vision of what you're building. I think it's really impressive. I'm excited for more people to get on board with it. I think there's a lot of value here. As far as introductions go, though, my name's Christian Allen. I'm a SaaS seller by day, and I'm a career mentor by night. I'm also a father of two beautiful children, and I have been an absolute student of the game when it comes to sales and sales methodologies, and I'm an absolute psychopath when it comes to learning. Like, it's literally all I do is just sit around watching sales videos and courses. So, and then obviously applying them into my day jobs. But yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, Rebecca, our head of community, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing really well. I am in the Slack channel in our Hype Cycle Slack. So if you want to ask any questions that you didn't pre-submit, ask them to me there, and I will make sure to get them in for Christian. But Christian, we have so many questions for you. Our community this is more questions than we've asked anybody else. So this is going to be a rapid fire round, and we have less than 30 minutes. So we're going to go as fast as we can. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right. What's the best technique to close a sale?
That's a loaded question, but it depends on what type of sale you're a part of. So I think overall, if I had to give a broad strokes answer that would be true in many different scenarios, the best approach to closing a sale is getting your discovery nailed and anchoring your conversation, your deal cycle to the company's most critical strategic initiatives. And I think that's really difficult for a lot of people to navigate that and really get to the heart of like what actually matters to the companies they're talking to. And I would say to that, like, sharpening your boardroom level acumen and understanding like the vernacular that executives speak in is something that will really, again, no matter what sales cycle you're a part of, it's really gonna. And you know what? Even let's say if we took enterprise out of it, right? And we're talking like SMB sales too, because I know there's a lot of people in my network that do SMB sales. No matter who it is, understanding your buyer persona, we'll say, instead of like boardroom level, like even your buyer persona is like daily life. Anyway, I know we have a lot to go through, so I'll leave you with that one there.
We'll probably ask you questions that open up more discovery into all the things that you want to go into right now.
Absolutely.
How do you multi-thread?
Me personally, I like to start off the deal cycle by multi-threading. So when I'm doing my account planning, I'm looking at who all is like the most attractive buyer personas of the company. And I'm going to go to all of them. Like I'm going to go to all of them, and I'm going to make sure that they know I'm reaching out to them. Like I'm going to make it like psychopathic. Like obviously I want them to be like at the heart of it, right? Like I care about them, but it's like the kind of tenacity that I'm coming to them with is like, you're going to get hit by a fucking train. Like let me jump in front of you. Like I got to push you out of the way because this thing's going to derail you, and you're going to be back on the market looking for, another executive role. Like this is what we help with. So, but I would say early on, just trying to approach as many of your ideal buyer personas as possible, and understanding before you ever reach out to them, like how does their department quantify success, and how does that correlate to what I have perceived to be the business's most critical strategic initiatives based on their 10Ks, based on what their competitors are struggling with, and then tailoring your messaging to specifically to that, right? So when I'm usually, by the time it comes to multi-thread, it's not like I worked with one person and now I'm like, hey, can you introduce me to Sally? It's usually like, I'm like, hey, by the way, I know you and I have had a great conversation. I'm also speaking with Sally already, and I've messaged her, and we have time set up for 2 weeks. Would it make sense for us to blend these meetings in like together so that we can all kind of talk? I know she highlighted this, and that being really important in her world. And I'd love to see if we can, kind of merge alignment on messaging between what you were talking about and what she's talking about, so we can drive it forward with the broader teams. So
it's weird that we cannot react and we cannot dive deeper into your answers, but we just have to blitz it. So here it comes. What's good with hard skill exchange?
What's good with it? I think there's too many good things to list. How about that? I think anybody who has like the desire to be better at their job, like it's never in your history been easier to connect with people that are living the lives that you want to live. Like when I look at the roster that Hard Skill Exchange has, and we're talking like JC Pollard, like that guy's a freaking like I talk to that guy like pretty frequently in 8th Straight, and like he's a gem. Like that guy's a freaking genius. Like, and I don't even think he realizes it yet. Like when he realizes, like it's gonna be crazy. He's gonna be superhuman at that point. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much good with Hype Cycle. I would say the biggest thing though would be giving you autonomy over your own sales enablement. So many people like live and die by their company's sales enablement, and I think this kind of breaks that barrier down, where now like if you really want to take it into your own hands and you want to like create new possibles, right, or new possibilities in your role, like platforms like platforms like Hard Skill Exchange give you access to the people that are going to give you the advice that are going to get you that next level.
Which is more powerful, challenger or spin?
Powerful? I guess it's a hard one. I had a lot of success with spin. I'll say that. I know that it's not like the sexy, like, you know, it's kind of antiquated. It's like not everybody's favorite, I think, but I had a lot of early success with spin. I think if I really had to like go pound for pound on the two, I'd probably choose challenger though. I think challenger I think that when you're speaking with executives, like we're talking enterprise sales, right? If I'm selling to the enterprise, when you're speaking with executives, like you have to, like these people are used to breaking glass. Like that's what they do. They come in, they have strong opinions. Like you have to be able to change their opinion. You can't just know like the situation, problem, need, fail. You know what I mean? Like you can't just know that. Like you have to actually be like, hey, like I appreciate your opinion. And also like, have you thought about this? Why not? Like, why is that not a challenge for you? Like you have to really kind of push back on them. And so for that reason, I think if you had to pick between the two and spend your time learning one, I would probably recommend Challenger if you're selling into the enterprise.
This kind of maybe piggybacks on that, but do you subscribe to a qualification methodology?
No, I don't personally, but I think that qualification methodologies are important for people who are very early in their sales career personally. That's my personal take. I think like when you've been selling long enough, like you know the ingredients that you need to start cooking with gas. And so like I'm not gonna like throw the pan on the stove and turn the fire on without food in the pan. You know what I mean? Like I already know how to like I know what I need before I start talking about product and before we start going into a demo. But if we're talking like SDRs, yeah, I think like I don't know if you I would like honestly like recommend against Bant personally. I think that's like one of the most like creates the worst buyer experience. I've been on the receiving end of that, and it's just so demeaning, and like I absolutely don't like it. So if you had to do one, I'd say like Medic or Medpic. But me personally, I I guess I would probably say I lean toward Medic, but it's not something that I preach religiously or like recommend that everybody else subscribes to.
Who was your favorite boss and why?
It's a good question. I think earlier in my career, Ryan Anderson, he was the vice president of sales for a startup that I worked for called Real Geeks. And that man was a freaking absolute gem. Like he like he was the VP of sales, but he managed the team directly. There was no layers between us and him. And so like he used to just sit in this little glass office, like right next to the sales floor. And so anytime I had questions, I'd get off the call and I'd walk in and be like, Ryan, like that buyer didn't buy, like why? And he'd pull up the call and he'd listen to it, be like, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, like go try it again. And he would just, it was this amazing, like constant repetition and feedback, like repetition, feedback, like cycle that I think really like unlocked a lot when it comes to like sales interactions for me. So I'd say Ryan Anderson, but runner up to that, or maybe not even runner up, but like in my more recent career, Jordan Pouliot, JP from Gong, that woman is an absolute like force of nature. Like her like boardroom level acumen and like her understanding of like enterprise level sales is absolutely unrivaled. Like she's really, really good at what she does. She's on vacation now. She's been on vacation for like 2 years. And I'm waiting. And Jordan, if you're watching this, I'm waiting for you to come back because I'm gonna hunt you down and go work for you again because I know you're badass and you're gonna take me to the next level somewhere. But yeah, those two people for sure.
Which courses have you taken that actually drove value?
So P Club, Chris Orlob, his training courses. I bought the Discovery Masterclass, and I felt like, in my opinion, I'm like, you know what, I'm pretty good at Discovery. But when I got his masterclass, there were things that he taught in there, like what is it, like getting like understanding like somebody's opinion about the root cause, like uncovering the cause of why they think that's happening. That was a light bulb moment for me. I think P Club. What else? Anthony Iannarino has some really phenomenal sales content. What is it? The Lost Art of Closing. Not a course, but that book. If you're doing large enterprise or doing even like mid-market that is kind of has more of a convoluted sales process, I highly recommend like getting to know Anthony Iannarino's work and like the 10 commitments to a close and stuff like that. So I would say, yeah, but I think right now, out of everything I've done, P Club is by far like just worth its weight in gold. Like I would pay probably like 5 to 10 times more than what they've charged me for P Club because it's that valuable. Like it's really good.
Who is your top inspiration mentor in sales?
I'm not trying to sound like weird like fangirl here, but probably Chris Orlov. I'm not gonna lie. That guy is seriously like that man is like an artificial intelligence that was fed like hundreds of thousands of hours of successful deal cycles. Like just the way his brain thinks is absolutely unrivaled to anybody. So I would say him. I did have a mentor. His name was Peter Roccaforte. That man, he was another person who was like instrumental in my success. He helped me like prep for interviews when I was going to do my mock discovery calls with Gong and stuff like that to do final rounds. Like he helped me prep for all that stuff. Helped me close like a lot of deals like over the years. Just he's kind of like my go-to guy for sure. But yeah, him and Chris Orlob, and those are probably my two front runners for sure.
What was the hardest deal that you ever closed?
Every single one of them. I don't know. Like honestly, the ones that start off the easiest, those are the ones that end up being the hardest to close. I would say anytime a deal comes in and like we know what we need, we understand our pain, we've quantified it, we know the ROI, we just need you to do XYZ, like dance like a monkey statement. And I'm just like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like early in your career, you're like, okay, let me do the song and dance and hope, you know what I mean? It sounds like they're gonna love it. But yeah, I don't know. There's not any one particular deal. I would say every deal that comes in hot usually turns into some crazy. You got to go back, and that's the most challenging part. Is you end up having to go back all of those steps and go back in time with them to unpack all of the problem and like root cause and stuff like that. So that's kind of a broad answer, but there's not any one that sticks out to me.
Walk me through your process to upsell an account.
Upselling is interesting because I didn't ever focus on that until recently. But my personal process for upselling an account is again trying to uncover what the company's focus is over the next like 3 to 6 months. And then creating a business plan of action that like talks about like, hey, you guys want to get here, like, you know, these are the things that can potentially derail you. Here's like the piece of, you know, tool that we have, hardware, software, whatever it is that we're selling at the time. And like how it correlates to that. So I think quarterly business reviews, most people are already doing those if they're in a customer success, account management, like upsell role. But really leveraging those quarterly business reviews to uncover like what's top of mind. Like, hey, what is the board talking about? What's the executive team talking about right now? Like if you had to pinpoint the big three topics that's top of mind for everybody in those meetings specifically, like what is it? And then tying your kind of upsell initiative to one of those strategic initiatives that they're talking about internally.
Probably the same person was asking it, but walk me through your process of renewal.
With renewal, honestly, I've never focused on renewal. I've never focused on renewal. I don't, and honestly, sometimes when people come to me like, "Hey, I'm not renewing," I'm like, Like, I don't really even get paid off that. So like, I'd love to, I'll still put my customer service hat on and kind of ask some questions and figure out why. But like, I've never been in charge of renewals. Like my job in upselling was literally just to drive wallet share. It was never to focus on retention.
What's in your tech stack?
In my tech stack, ooh, like with no budget, I mean, absolutely Sendoso for sure. Either Tropic or Vendor. Like if I'm an executive, right? If I had to build one as from an executive level, or are you talking about like if I had to build one from a sales rep perspective? So I'll give you both.
What is it?
I would say from an executive level, yeah, I would say Vendor or Tropic for like, procurement and like spend management and stuff like that. Gong, honestly, like there's so many good tools coming out, but Gong has really kicked so much ass at building their tool to be the tool that like executives use. Like I'd love to see the data on how many executives are actively using Gong on a daily basis, because my hypothesis that it is it's not as many as should be. But when you really know how to use the tool, like my time at Gong taught me how to use the tool really well. And so as this come out with new features, like I've kind of ran around and tested it, but like usually I can get into an organization and look at Gong and within a couple seconds be like, oh, okay, if you turn these, four like knobs, if you turn these four knobs up by like 2 or 3% in talk track or here, it's going to unlock this like X amount of millions of dollars. So Gong for sure. Sorry, not to get off on a tangent with Gong. I love that product. I was like a huge evangelist of Gong before I ever worked there. Chili Piper is the best scheduling tool I've ever used. Like I've personally never ran into issues with Chili Piper. I saw like 1 or 2 posts online about somebody griping about it. I don't know how they're using it, but I would imagine they're not using it right because I've never had a problem. What else? I mean, obviously the necessary evils like Zoom. I hate Google Hangouts. I love Pathrise to death, but they freaking put all of us industry mentors on Google Hangouts, and that's just not fun. Yeah, I mean, what? Probably Outreach for sequencing, Zoom Info for data, Gong for conversational intelligence and revenue intelligence, Chili Piper for scheduling. I'm trying to think of what I actually use and like kind of like my mandatories. That's pretty much it. I feel like I'm not huge. Like I'm not like one of those like, what does Justin Michael call them? Like sales borgs. You know what I mean? Like I don't run around with a massive tech stack. Like I just need I need the core, but like the core is like alone usually pretty expensive. But yeah, that's personally mine.
Oh, I think it's my turn. Let's see. What is the most overhyped category of tech stacks?
Overhyped? I mean, I feel like obviously AI, like specifically AI's use in sales, like, and I don't know, I know it goes against a lot of like what people are doing nowadays, but like I think that you can really accomplish a lot without it. There's certain like, especially when it comes to like copy, right? People are like talking about using AI for prospecting and stuff like that. Like, I don't know that like it necessarily, unless somebody can show me otherwise, and I'm open to it. I'd love to learn if somebody can like be like, hey, this is how you use it to unlock this crazy potential it has. I have not seen it write any sort of email that I would personally just press send on. Like I think it kind of helps brainstorm a little bit, but like I think AI in general, outside of conversation AI or revenue intelligence, like the use of AI and sequencing and stuff like that, I don't know. I haven't like personalized email. I guess let's say that AI for personalized email, I think, is the most overhyped. Is the short answer.
Are you using ChatGPT or OpenAI? Is coincidentally the next question.
I am, but I don't use them like the way I think most people do. I would say I probably underutilize them even. I use Chat. I think when I've looked at both, ChatGPT is really phenomenal for copy. Like they're really good at like content creation. Google Bard is really good because it gives you very up to date, right? If you're using the free version of ChatGPT, I think it stopped like putting in data like September 2021 or something ridiculous like that. So you can't really look up a whole lot of new stuff. Google Bard's phenomenal for getting like real time. If I want to get like, let's just say I'm doing account planning and I'm like, build me I have a prompt for it somewhere in my Google Docs, but like build me a research page on, I don't know, Zoom info, and the current growth rate, current headcount, current this, like the perceived strategic initiatives. Google Bard's really good for pulling in that recent information. I also use it to summarize books. So when people are talking about like, oh, like this book's really great, blah, 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 I'll just go to Bard and I'll just be like, hey, you know, summarize XYZ business book. And I'll ask for like a long summary and a short summary and just kind of get the cliff notes and see like what I might be missing out. And if it sounds really good and I think it's like stuff I want to unpack, I'll go buy it on Amazon. But if not, it kind of saves me the money and the time, like being able to do that.
I mean, there is a startup that does it, Blinkist. It's kind of
Oh yeah, they've been
another
around
this.
for a while.
Yeah,
Do you use them? Oh wait, this isn't.
always,
Can I ask
always.
one? Okay.
Yeah, not my AMA. Let's go on random. We have 6 minutes. Maybe we'll go like a little bit over time, but
Yes.
I'll try to find some difficult questions here. There's freaking a lot of them. What percentage of pipeline should full cycle AEs develop?
That's a really difficult question to answer because it's so situational. It
Yeah,
is. I mean, it's so situational. I think the best answer is like whatever percentage gets you to quota. Like if you don't have SDR coverage, then like 100%. But like I'll tell you, it's really difficult to do both. I've had jobs where I have SDR pairing like 1-to-1. I've had jobs where it's round robin on SDRs. I've had jobs where I'm completely self-sourced. Completely self-sourced is incredibly challenging because you literally are like doing two roles in one. Like, I think in an ideal world, like if like the less and from the most success I've seen personally is the less success that the account executives have, like mandatorily have. I'm sorry, the less prospecting falls on the like mandatory falls on the account executive. Usually, the more success they'll have. I mean that if there's a really strong SDR army that's out there and they've really cracked the code and on being like the best of breed in just booking pipeline, usually that's what drives from my career. Like I've seen that work really well. So I mean short answer to that would probably be like, I don't know, like 75-25, like maybe SDR or AEs booking about 25% of their own pipeline. It's just a challenge when it comes to pipeline management. That's where it gets big. When you're first starting off, like I think 100%. It's like go book, like go get 5x your coverage. You know what I mean? Like you need that. But once you're managing the pipeline, to continue to try to do that is so freaking difficult. At that point, it's like if you can prospect 20% of the time or 25% of the time, I think you're, you know, if you have the right support, it'll pay dividends. So
what's your first 90-day plan?
my personal 90-day plan, I go in and I try to understand the buyer persona better than anybody in the business. Like I think a lot of people go in, and I hear this all the time, especially because I coach people, and they're like, yeah, when I get in, I'm gonna learn the product really well. And I'm like, what do you not listen when I talk? Like, no, like the product doesn't matter. Like it really, like it should be relatively interchangeable. The buyer persona is what matters very, like super importantly. So I usually try to go in and understand like who are our buyer personas, what challenges do they face, and what is the most common negative impact in their role when they don't solve their challenges, and what objections like do they typically have to change, and what motivations do they have to change. That's usually like the first piece of my 90 days. Second is like account planning or territory planning. Like I need to look at my book and identify like, hey, who are my top accounts, and like who am I going to spend 80% of my time on. And then the other one's like, who are my bottom 80% that I'm going to spend 20% of my time on. From there, it's all about understanding quota. Like if quota is $1 million, what's the historical close rate? And then I'm going to add probably 10% of that while I ramp. So, you know what I mean? I'm going to add 10% of that and then try to find coverage in that amount. So if that's, I don't know, 4x coverage, 5x coverage, whatever that is, I'm going to divide that. This is convoluted, but I'm going to divide that coverage by the average deal size in my segment. So I'm not going to rely on like one $5 million deal in my pipeline and be like, I have 5x coverage because it's not real and it's too risky. I'm going to look at like, hey, if I need 5x coverage, it's 5 million and our deal sizes are, you know, 100,000. How many opportunities on average do I need to book? And then I'll kind of start to tackle it that way. Okay, so I need this many opportunities per week, and that means I need to connect with this many people on the phone per week. And then once I get to 5x, usually from there, honestly, it kind of just flows. Like once you're at like 4 or 5x pipeline coverage in those first 90 days, things start to flow. That's when SDRs, when they start to book, it's just icing on the cake, and you're just kind of padding that coverage, and you're more just kind of project managing all the deals that you have in the pipeline. Yeah, that usually cuts off about the 90-day mark where you reach that level of pipeline.
Who, for you, hard skill exchange, somebody comes in and books some sales coaching with you, who are you most excited to coach?
That's a good one. Anybody that has a deal that they think is stuck, anybody with active pipeline in flight. Like I can cold call, like I can like show you how to write emails. I think there are like people out there that are better. Like I would honestly tell you to go talk to an SDR, like go talk to the top performing SDR at your company because they're gonna know really freaking well. Like I can give you like, hey, this is what's worked for a lot of people. They can give you like, hey, this is exactly what worked for me like last week to book 5 meetings. For me, it's like if you have deals in flight, especially if you're confident about those deals, like show up because let's murder board them. Like let's if like you're I'm dead serious. Like we need to murder board these deals because you might be like, this is the deal that's gonna buy me my new car next quarter. Like and it's like, okay, like why would that deal fail? Like let's think about the ingredients we're missing out on. You know what I mean? Those conversations suck. Like reps always want to like just be like, this is my deal and I love it so much and it's my little baby and we're gonna get married and have a bunch of freaking money together. But like the reality is like most of those deals end up slipping or completely like going to the competitor or being lost to the status quo. And so I think like a healthy amount of like secondary criticism from somebody who has like completely unbiased is healthy. But anyway, yeah, any rep that has anything in flight is kind of like something that I specialize in. People who are interviewing, if you're interviewing or if you're really struggling to land interviews, I just recently last week, I think between the people I was coaching, we had like $700,000 in offers come in between like 4 or 5 people. So like we're getting big, healthy offers. Like, and that's all like I did a training in 8 straight about like how to land your dream job. It's posted on my LinkedIn. If anybody wants access to it, let me know and I can DM it to you. But it goes over kind of those tactics. So I would say as of right now, anybody with deals in flight, we can definitely strategize on how to get those across the line faster and make sure they don't slip. And anybody that's looking for a job or is in final round interviews and doesn't want to miss those opportunities, I can absolutely help you in that area because I've helped a ton of people prior land jobs at pretty impressive companies.
Well, we've run out of time. So thank you so much, Christian. Unless you want to say something, Julia, but thank you so much for your time, Christian. And it's just so obvious that you walk the walk. And I think that people will be really lucky to either murder board or get hired at their new company with you. And that's just the beginning of the things that you can do for people. So if you want to book some sessions with Christian, you know where to go, hardskill.exchange, and you can take it from there. But thanks so much for your time today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna book a session with Christian. We've already had one session, and yeah, I'm gonna post the recording soon. A couple of highlights. Been really useful. So yeah, just we'll follow up with another email or two, and just book a session. Christian is amazing. Honestly, I rarely say that. And we have 50 questions. I was like, they still keep coming. So we should do another session sometime soon.
I'm open to it, yeah. And also too, for anybody who's watching, if you book time with me and you do not come away completely impressed, I will personally Zelle you money for your session. And that's not a brag to me. It's just I like we're gonna accomplish what you came to accomplish, and we're gonna accomplish probably more than you came to accomplish. And that's a testament to all of the great people that poured into me. It's not a testament to my own skill because honestly, I sucked when I first started this. Like I'm not this guy that came in with all this natural raw talent. It's like I had phenomenal coaches along the way that I paid for and that also just I managed to have cross paths with. So I would say don't neglect yourself with that opportunity. Like if you are inspired by a coach, whether that's me or somebody else, if you're inspired by a coach, if when they speak, it's captivating, if you believe that they're going to be able to identify roadblocks that you don't have eyes on right now and actually help you remove them, like take on the risk of just spending the money because like from my experience, if you have that gut feeling, usually you're going to make the right decision. It's going to produce a significant ROI.
Awesome. 3 minutes over. And any favorite quote, any favorite book?
Yeah, I would say favorite quote. There's 2 favorite quotes. One for those people out there who are watching that are like going to be interviewing soon or looking for a new role or currently unemployed and trying to get somewhere. The biggest quote that I tell everybody is people do not remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. And so when you're going into an interview, don't focus on, am I going to get the offer? Am I going to get the offer? Don't look past the person in front of you to the outcome you want. Like, visualize yourself actually sitting there with the person on the other end of the phone or on the other end of the Zoom even, and visualize the emotions that your body would have if you were to have a great connection and great conversation with that other human being. Because that, when you come away from it, they're going to remember, wow, that guy made me feel freaking amazing. That girl made me feel freaking amazing. Like, that person made me feel awesome. Like, they made me feel like they understand me. They made me feel like they care about my initiatives and care about how I quantify my work to my managers. They made me feel confident that they can come in and make my buyers feel heard and feel like we have an empathetic sales team that understands their problems. So that, and then the most recent one, I hate to say Chris Orlov's name too many times in one conversation, but he said you are skills away from your dream life, not years. So
Amazing.
I thought that was yeah,
I want to put it
one.
into the slogan.
One, were you what?
It's a good slogan for its cliche.
It is. It is. One more too. The other one was my buddy texted to me the other day. He said the answers that you're looking for lie in the things that you don't want to do. So wake up early, get that exercise, eat that healthy meal, like do all the stuff you don't want to do, and you will find answers to the things that you have questions to right now.
Let's do what we don't want to do. We gotta end this.
Absolutely.
This was
Very good.
amazing. We already have questions enough that we could do this all over again. So you just let us know when and we'll be there. But in the meantime, you know where to find Christian, hardskill.exchange, and we'll see you next time for our next AMA.
Awesome, y'all.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Rebecca.